Hello and welcome to our watches. This is Civil War. So I really loved Annihilation, Ex Machina as well. Haven't seen Men, but Alex Garland, I've liked what I've seen so far. I know Men doesn't have a good reputation. And then this one is a weird one because I've seen a lot of people not like it and I've seen a lot of people really like it. Some people say it has no teeth politically, considering the subject matter, and I've seen other people say, oh, it's really good and really important. And I think maybe part of it is the message here isn't the message people were expecting, because it's more about journalism from the sounds of it than people were expecting, because people were expecting it to be more political because it's about a civil war, you know. And then it choosing to not be kind of left or right and have these made up factions that kind of, is it Florida and California that are in alliance, or Texas and California that are in alliance? They kind of remove it from reality where it's Democrats and Republicans. And is that a good thing because it kind of removes the aspects so that you take a step back, or is it a bad thing because it doesn't have anything to say about what's happening in the real world right now? I don't know. That's why I'm here. I'm going to find out for myself. Also, A24, don't use fucking AI in your posters. I know it's a separate marketing team to the people who made this film probably, but come on now. So before you jump into this, be sure to check out the Patreon page. Over there you can find a full-length timer-based version of this, polls to vote for what's next, and 1 week early access. So yeah, let's just jump right in. Oh, okay. President Nick Offerman, yeah.
To victory. They will be welcomed back to these United.
Yeah, I do wonder what the reason behind everything is. They want to leave, want to become independent. How good are actual photography skills? Because I was thinking, oh, don't just stand there. That first photo she took, you gotta find a good angle.
It's my choice. And I'll remember that when you lose your shit, or you get blown up, or shot.
Yeah, she's kind of mentally just pulling herself away. If something does happen, she doesn't feel as bad about it, perhaps.
Would you photograph that moment if I got shot?
Yeah, would you photograph me if I got shot? It's probably a yes. Is that foreshadowing?
Every time I survived a war zone and got the photo, I thought I was sending a warning home.
Oh, and you had somewhere to go to home to be safe afterwards though as well.
Am I allowed to say I remember you at her age?
And I wasn't so different.
You weren't so different.
Yeah, I was expecting that. She sees herself in her. The music is quite, I don't know if I want to say ethereal, but kind of relaxing and calming. Kind of, I made the joke, oh yeah, they're just like on a little road trip. It's like a little road trip movie. But some of the calmer moments like this, yeah. They've got some chill music and just the horrifying stuff in the background. Do you like how Joe's kind of stepped up to be a bit more of a protective role for Jessie? You can see he cares about her as well. He's ready to like pull her back if things get dangerous. Using the music ironically, yeah, to juxtapose what's happening. I was kind of expecting that. We'll get some kind of classic Americana, music you'd associate with America. Oh, really? Yeah, that's suddenly a little camaraderie and laughing about it. I don't know. Don't think I could see that, and whatever side you're on, seeing some people get killed like that, and then suddenly be all laughy after it. Sammy's there watching. Make a good photo, got a good leading line up there with the path as well. That might be what you want to photograph as well, this guy reveling in it. Camps for people displaced. This is all things you'd be taking photos of as well. The consequences of everything and sense of community as well, though. Making the most of it.
I figure the strike rate for keepers is 30 to 1.
Ooh. Is that a good one, or has she seen something? And yeah, the people who pretend it doesn't exist, that nothing's happening. Probably just doesn't feel right, does it? To be all dolled up after everything you've been through. See, earlier, in her reflection on the right, there was some chromatic aberration, but then there wasn't when Jesse came along. I mean, we're seeing that a lot with Lee, some chromatic aberration. I think things around the edges. Is that just because she's in two minds about everything?
You're gonna take the photo?
Don't want to miss your sweet spot.
There we go. Yeah. She got the smile, waiting for the smile.
Look at the tops of the buildings. Be subtle.
Oh. They're just snipers around on things. They're still protecting themselves, yeah. That's cool, that pan down to reveal. Yeah, they're keeping up a face of civility, but they still need to defend themselves and protect that little town. They can't ignore it completely. Was he skinned? I was trying to make it out. No, his head was just the other way. Yeah, I couldn't quite.
Nothing. No shapes, no movement.
Okay, they were captured by Jesse Plemons. They were captured by someone. Is that like a compactor or something? Oh, no, it's just lifting the bodies up, pouring them off.
Gotta press passes. You're cool.
Those people do not want to be seen doing what they're doing.
Yeah. The press pass can only give you so much protection. Certain people won't care. See. Yeah, these two, they didn't have their press pass because she jumped car, but I don't know if the press pass would change much.
Hey! Hey, guys!
Been quite chill, yeah.
This guy's your colleague? This guy here?
Yes, sir. He's my...
Wow. Yeah. When these two new guys were introduced, I was thinking we don't know them as much. They're kind of fodder.
What kind of American are you?
Yeah.
Central American? South American?
Oh, I thought it was meaning left or right.
What's that?
Hard to get a read on him.
Where are you from?
Is he just doing it for fun?
Colorado, Missouri. That's what I'm talking about. It's American.
So is he just doing it because he's racist?
Buddy! What's your deal? Where are you from?
I mean, he's quite obviously Asian though, so even if he says somewhere, get a photo.
I need a quote. don't let him kill me. That'll do.
Just as Sammy said, it'll be a kind of disappointing quote. I don't know, that's just a very human response though. I don't think that's that disappointing. Oh, and now it's happened to her, yeah. It just ends on that. Okay, so that was Civil War. I'm conflicted here because I did quite like all of the characters. I feel like the characters were maybe the highlight here. Jesse, Lee, Joe, Sammy, all acted really well. Katie Spaney, Kirsten Dunst, all giving great performances here. But I feel like maybe the film was just falsely advertised or not even misinterpreted, but mismanaged in, its advertising and setting people's expectations. Like, even in the title, Civil War, the focus isn't on the war itself. They don't get into the war. The war is just a backdrop for this movie about photojournalism. And maybe they should have done a different title, some sort of double entendre to do with shooting, shooting a camera, shooting a gun. Yeah, it's much more about photojournalism like a little bit of the ethics of photojournalism, and I really enjoyed the kind of road trip aspect of it, you know, getting to know these characters on this journey. But then I felt like it was maybe a bit shallow in questioning the ethics of the photojournalism, and the ending especially. I don't know, there was something more I wanted there. And, you know, we see throughout Lee, she's, you know, mentally conflicted, going through it. And I was thinking, oh, maybe, you know, they do something with them being photojournalists, the kind of mission on just, you know, documenting what's happening and not interfering. And at some point is, you know, something so horrific where you have to interfere. And that's like kind of what we got with the moment with Lee saving Jesse, but that felt more like just Jesse's mistake than it was Lee maybe going against what she's taught Jesse. Or if we had a bit more of Lee, you know, kind of hammering home, like, we're only here to document, don't interfere, that kind of thing, and kind of the conflict of being here to document all of these things that are happening and not being able to interfere. But then her saving Jesse is like her interfering a little bit there. And it was, you know, that inversion of Jesse saying, oh, if I died, would you, you know, photograph it and photograph my body? And yeah, they kind of flipped that round, but I feel like there was still something missing there, maybe missing a bit more setup to that point, or because they like know each other and it felt more focused on kind of Jesse's naivety and Jesse's mistake of jumping out there and staying still. And, you know, I was thinking maybe if they got into that room with the president and, yeah, the president was there, but the first lady was there and the president had a kid, and maybe Lee protected the kid somehow. You know, children, innocence, the symbol of innocence. It's not the child's fault that they're born to the first lady and to the president, and maybe the people in there wanted to execute the kid for some reason. You know, soldiers just getting in over their heads, becoming psychopathic, in an adrenaline rush, or having a vendetta against the president. So kind of using a kid, you know, as an example, as a way to like punish the president in a way, something like that. And then Lee gets involved and like saves the kid. Maybe that would be a bit more hard hitting, a bit more of kind of a message on, you know, the ethics of photojournalism. How involved can you get? Do you get involved? Or like if she didn't and she regrets not intervening, that kind of thing. Because even though it's about photojournalism, I don't know really what it's saying about photojournalism. We obviously have some conflict with the characters, but it's hard to know what it even actually is. And I think that's what it was going for with her saving Jesse. I just feel like that could have been clearer, could have been a bit more of a focused point there. And I don't really mind the kind of ambiguity on which side's which. You know, you probably could infer like California, there's probably like more left-leaning than the people they're fighting would be more right-leaning. But I don't mind like not knowing the allegiances of each side and just having that as a backdrop. But I think like marketing the film about that point and about the Civil War maybe is a bit misguided. But I do think like sometimes, again, maybe on the shallowness point, they just kind of name drop stuff without, just for it, you know, without reason. Like we had Antifa name dropped. There was like, oh, you photographed the Antifa massacre, but that doesn't really play any role. And like Charlottesville, they're saying they're going to Charlottesville, and Charlottesville I associate mostly with what happened in 2017 there. Like, I know it's just a place and it's a place where people live, but if you say Charlottesville, I think of the Charlottesville, like the car, you know, that event is just referred to as Charlottesville, isn't it? So like they're using real life terms and imagery and like evoking that, but not doing anything with it in the actual film. So I feel like, yeah, people's expectations could have been managed maybe a bit better if they had perhaps advertised it differently. But of course, kind of advertising it as this Civil War movie that's going to divide audiences, it's a bit more provocative, isn't it? But that's not really what the movie is. And, you know, I feel like part of the theme is, you know, Jessie, she got in there and she got that award-winning shot. You know, that's a shot, that photo is going to be used forever. She's going to be made like the queen of war photography because of that. She got the shot of the president being executed, and I thought like part of it would be, you know, she got that, but at what cost? And that, again, that is a theme that's there, that is, you know, at the cost of Lee, and she was being reckless, and, you know, she got the shot, but at what costs? But again, I feel like that could be a bit deeper in a way. It just doesn't feel quite hard-hitting enough, both emotionally and thematically, especially with how much I really did actually like the characters, you know, the kind of road trip along the way, getting to know them, getting to know Sammy and him eventually dying. You know, there's a lot of really thrilling moments and moments where you can actually get to enjoy the characters, where they're just relaxing and messing about a bit. You know, the crazy stuff with the car, you know, that was a bit too much, but you know, the characters were quite endearing and you did get to know them quite well. But yeah, I felt like there was just something missing in the third act there, because like the moments with Jesse Plemons' character, that was a really great moment. The tension there really high, but I just felt like there could have been something more to dig your teeth into, and I don't think that necessarily needs to come from it being like politically aligned. I don't mind the ambiguity of it not specifying like who's what side and everything. I feel like it needed a little bit more to say about the photojournalism side and the war journalism side. Like maybe what if prior to this we hear about Lee having a like an assistant or apprentice or something that she lost, and that's part of her arc here. Like she had someone close to her, she had, you know, someone like Jesse that she had lost before and was living that with that trauma, and then just that could add a bit of depth for her deciding to save Jesse, you know. That could have been another aspect to add a bit more depth in there. And I think as well, we do also see here how, you know, they're press, but that doesn't give them complete immunity, does it? That only matters to the people who care, because once a war devolves so much and society devolves so much, there's going to be people that don't care, like Jesse Plemons' character. And I mean, it's very easy for them to be caught in the crossfire, especially with how reckless Jesse was being. We see how, yeah, it devolves and people eventually don't care, and they don't care about war crimes. Like we saw the people in the cars who came out when they thought it was the president, they come up surrendering, saying don't shoot, and they did get shot anyway. You know, we see how it all kind of devolves eventually. Once you get to a certain point, the kind of upholding of the Geneva Convention and war crimes, it doesn't really apply. And I think there's also like a point here about just being observers of these massacres, them being the journalists, going back almost to The Zone of Interest and how that does that so well, and it puts you in as an audience into question. And again, there's like that scene where they were in that town, I don't know if we got a name for that town, where they tried to ignore everything, but they still did have a little bit of protection, and yeah, they were trying to live their lives normally and ignore it, and they had the privilege to be able to ignore it. And just like here, there's many atrocities happening in the real world, but I can just turn this camera off and ignore it. There's something to say about, yeah, having the privilege to being able to ignore it and being able to be an outside observer where none of these things are happening to you. And, you know, it's making me think about how many journalists have died in Gaza. You know, as we see in this film, there is I'm not saying that there's a certain amount that's acceptable, but there's a certain amount you can't control, like with Lee here and with Jesse, they are right on the front lines, and like if someone had thrown a grenade their direction to take out those guys and not known there were journalists there, you know, journalists can get caught in the crossfire, but there's just so many in Gaza that have died. And I'll again, because we're talking about war, link to the Palestinian Child's Relief Fund, like I did with the Zone of Interest, because yeah, again here there are themes of the kind of culpability of war and being able to just be an outside observer and your responsibility in that. And yeah, there were some moments in this film that were really gorgeous as well. I loved the scene with the fire, the forest fire, and all of the embers with the bokeh. It all looked lovely. And again, we had a lot of the shots with the shallow focus, that shallow focus on the chromatic aberration up the sides. I just wanted to maybe know what that represented. Is that just like her state of mind, her you know, contemplating things? And I feel like, again, if at the end maybe her death was a bit stronger, that would recontextualize some of that earlier, make that a bit more meaningful. But again, like, I did like the start, the road trip almost aspect of it, them going out and, you know, documenting all of this. And, you know, photography is something that I like. It's interesting, and I like seeing some of the photographs they did take, you know, how they went about it. Some of the imagery here, you've got like the J.C. Penney, the kind of capitalism symbol of America, and then the destroyed helicopter out front. There was a lot of great symbolism in here as well, but maybe that fell flat a little bit. And they did show like some of the photographs, like they'd take the photo and they'd flash it up on the screen, but there were some that I wanted to see as well, like when Jesse was taking that photo up that path with that leading line up to the three guys about to be executed. I wanted to see that photo, and I thought maybe they'd show a few in the credits of the ones they took along the way, but they didn't really. They kind of picked and choose when they did show the photos on screen and when they didn't, and there was a few I wanted to see what they came out like with Jesse's ones of that helicopter that had crashed as well. Okay, so I think that's everything. Thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts down below on the message here, the ending, what you thought of maybe the marketing of it, how they advertised the film. And if you like this video, be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you really loved it to keep up to date on all future uploads. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys later.